daar zit natuurlijk vanavond niemand op die ruimte hebben voor iets anders nodig. Ik heb vanavond slechts één gast. Eigenlijk een van de laatst levende legenden van de popmuziek. Begonnen in de vroege 70er jaren al. En heel lang op het toneel eigenlijk altijd verstopt. Dan speelde hij rollen. Dan was hij iemand anders. Dan was hij Ziggy Stardust. Of hij was a Thin White Duke. Of hij was Aladdin Sane. En als hij van het podium kwam, dan speelde hij het liefst die rollen nog een tijdje door. Zodat op het slot gewoon helemaal niemand meer wist tegen wie hij nou praatte, wie hij nou was. En al helemaal niet of hij meende wat hij zei. Mijn gast van vanavond gaat prat op zijn eigen wijzigheid. Er is over hem gezegd, bij elke nieuwe plaat die hij maakte, verloor hij een deel van zijn achterban. Al won hij er ook altijd wel weer nieuwe fans bij. Hij zelf heeft erover gezegd, ik vind het wel best. Ik ben een outsider. Ik hoor nergens bij en dat is mijn plaats in het leven. 2 keer raaien hoe zijn nieuwe cd heet. Outside. Hij blijft zijn opvattingen trouw. Vanavond speelt hij, geloof het of niet, in dit piepkleine studiootje De Kuip aan het Rembrandtplein in Amsterdam met zijn hele band stukken van die cd. Nu eerst het gesprek met David Bowie. Welkom. Well, nothing wrong with your popularity so far. David, welcome on the show. Nice to have you here. Nice to be able to listen to your lovely new CD. First of all, I would like you to have a look at a little clip of film that we've made last night as the audience to your concert in Utrecht came into the Oranje Hall.
Hi David, I love you since I was 10 and I still love you. Bye.
My mother is ill and she couldn't come to the concert, but she says hello to you. Okay, bye.
Well, since '74 I'm a fan. Saw you on the top of television. Ad Visser.
Hi, I'm Marcel Wiegers. I'd like to present you this CD. It's from our band. It's a two-member band.
There it is.
I'd like to have you this one.
Well, can your future concerts be interpreted in America and also in Europe? We would love to do it. Here's the business card I'll give you with both of our names on it. And there are 28 million hearing impaired people in the U.S. and even a greater number worldwide that need exposure to your music. Music should not be denied to them because, as the deaf person, do you like music?
I love music. I've never had access to music since I'm deaf. So through sign language interpreters, I get finally to know what the shape, the form, and the contents of the music are. So, and they're great visuals, I tell you.
And we want to thank you. We love you.
I believe I saw that.
You saw her last night?
I believe I saw the girl last night. I think she was, my stage left. I think she had quite a party there.
Could you believe deaf people buying your CDs?
It's extraordinary. I have a friend who's hearing impaired, and his particular way is to just feel the vibrations coming from the music. And he's got fairly sophisticated in he can recognize instruments with the different degrees of resonance, you know.
They actually want to go and do interpretations to all your concerts in America if you go there.
That's incredible.
Listen, to reinsure this gentleman that gave us the CD of his band, we just gave it to David, so it's in good hands, and there's a little note in it.
And this is damn fine music. I just quickly played it before I came out to sit with Karel.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about Outside. For all those people that haven't heard the album yet, there's an intriguing, although a little bizarre story.
Yes, there is.
Lying underneath it all. Could you summarize it for it?
It's ostensibly some kind of murder which has taken place outside the front steps, or upon the front steps of an art museum in a fictional town called New Oxford Town, somewhere in America. The most remarkable thing about it is that it's not merely a murder. It's been set up as a piece of art. And there's a detective who will endeavor to solve this particular crime. His major problem is to define whether it is merely just murder or whether it is art. That's really, because whoever did it, that's a problem for the police. This is an art crimes detective. I'm working on this album with my collaborators, Brian Eno, with whom I've worked before in the past. And what we really intend to do is to, by using a sort of metaphysical stories, to create a diary of the last 5 years of the 90s. So this would be number one in a series of 4 or 5 albums. And at the end, presumably, we'll know if it was murder, if it was art, who it was, or who they were. I don't know.
Do you know of any real...
I think the shadow knows something.
Do you know of any real artists that, well, hopefully not murder, but use mutilation or auto-mutilation as a form of art? Do you know them personally?
The one reason, as it is diary-esque, the one reason that Brian and I even settled on this kind of subject matter is that there's a great predominance of body art at the moment in the visual arts. Pretty much a worldwide movement. At the moment there's an artist called Ron Athy who's works with scarifications on his boyfriend's back and then creates prints from the blood.
From the blood?
Yeah. Now, it may sound bizarre in a way, I guess, but it's not without its precedence. I mean, the obsession with going to churches and seeing relics from our saints, or in fact using pieces of the body in the Catholic Church is quite a part of the ritual of Catholicism. I would imagine that your own Museum of Torture probably has a very large following, and it's in Amsterdam, I believe. That the relationship between the body and the pain and the excess that it can take is tantamount to an understanding of the universe in some people's minds. Not necessarily my opinion.
Of course we have...
I am merely the author.
Yeah. Of course, we had André Breton in the 20s, I think.
Absolutely.
Shoot a gun into a crowd, and it could be a work of art.
Absolutely, that was his manifesto for surrealism, was that the greatest work of art could
While
be...
you're talking to me, there's somewhere in the back of my head this little story about you as a young boy slicing up a dead pigeon. Is there any truth in that story?
No, nothing.
Skinning a dead pigeon?
I know nothing. I might have eaten the odd worm. I can't remember slicing up a pigeon. No, I don't know about that one. No, I'll have to get the book.
There's a, well, there's a, yeah. The myth is very often...
But I mean, this kind of...
you can use it for a song. Like
yeah. I think a lot of this coming to the end of a millennium, a lot of the art that's being produced and a lot of the stresses and anxieties that we all have something to do with putting to rest the corpse of the 20th century. So, by virtue of that, one might assume that the corpse in my story is, in fact, allegorically the corpse of the 20th century.
Yeah, but then again, let's not put up our hopes too high. You yourself said, when the day comes, January 1st in the year 2000, it turns out to be a Tuesday morning.
Absolutely.
And nothing else but that.
Your greatest problem is trying to find a good news program.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably so. I mean, I hope that would be one of our only major problems.
Let's stick with André Breton.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing of looking at mutilation or at violence or at murder as a work of art also brings to mind this other bizarre phenomenon of fans loving their idols so much that they want to equalize their idols, and the only way they can think of is killing them. I mean, where were you when John Lennon was...
The two or three that are in here, I'm incredibly decent people.
Has it ever been a fear for you?
No.
I mean, you lived in New York when John Lennon was shot by a guy that wanted to be as famous as
I don't find that.
was.
I don't find that. I find that an obsessive and a particular fear. I have merely general anxieties, and they're more about getting through a day successfully myself. Hoping to have achieved something and hoping to keep some kind of moral equilibrium throughout the day. That for me is an anxiety. Outside problems don't really, are not an issue with me at all.
Have you ever understood all those screaming girls that were just screaming, as they said, because he's so cute?
I've never attempted to.
So you've never succeeded?
I've never attempted to understand them. No, it's beyond my comprehension. I'm not... I was a pretty obsessive fan when I was a kid. I mean, I used to like the American musician Little Richard, and in terms of a collector, I would collect every record that he made and try and find out as much about him as I could. And I do remember when he first came to Britain, waiting outside the stage door of the theatre that he was playing at, waiting for him so that I could get an autograph. I think past the autograph stage, though, I don't think I've gotten any further than that.
I would like to ask you something about your...
Do you mind if I smoke?
No, please go ahead. I'm not going to tell you not to smoke.
No, I
mean,
know.
you know better than me telling you not.
Do you smoke?
I have done. For the rest, not for the rest of my life. Please go ahead. I would like to talk to you about fear. Is it true that for a long time, the fear to lose your own mental health, your sanity, has been a major fear in your life?
I think there's I'm just approaching 50 at the moment. I think, looking back, when I was in my late teens and my early 20s, there was kind of a romanticism attached to the zany or the crazed or the mentally unstable because of its assumed otherness. I think the idea of being able to observe and be a participant in an alternative reality is very exhilarating for some young people. I think when you're also an artist, it almost comes with a territory, and I think that you assume that you must be a bit crazy just to be an artist. I had some sense of traditional mental instability in my family, so that I was overly concerned that it may in some way apply to me as well. And then, of course, getting involved in drug usage in the 70s really gave it sort of long order. But I think for me personally, as an artist, it's not something that I would entertain anymore. I feel fairly stable.
They're like, you should congratulate him now. Still, I don't get it. If you were overly concerned because of mental disorders appearing somewhere in the family, there's this one thing that I don't understand. Why on earth, if you're so concerned about it, do you go on stage and invent a lot of characters that you've played for months and months and months on stage and a lot of times off stage? Weren't you tempting the gods?
Oh, I think that was pure shyness.
You, in one very serious interview, you said, whether I fill the characters with my life or fill my life with the characters, that's unclear to me.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that shows that you really lost yourself somewhat in those characters.
Yes,
I mean, that is tempting
absolutely.
the gods if you're
Well,
concerned
not really.
of losing your own sanity.
One doesn't have the equipment at that age to know if you're tempting the gods or otherwise. I think that you just flow with what you feel is a very energetic life river of energy and excitement, you know, and I put myself in a situation where I really didn't know what the boundaries were and what the fine line was between my characters on stage and my absolute self, and that's something that really I never really came to terms with until the late 70s. And in the late 70s, I started to redefine exactly who I was by readjusting my life and taking myself out of a kind of a pretty fast lane existence.
Did you, in a way, like Lou Reed puts it, do a little of growing up in public with your pants down?
Rarely with my pants down. And I'm not sure about growing up. I hope that I never fully grow up. No, I don't think. No, I haven't grown up, believe me.
Did anybody ever tell you that the pictures that were taken of you when you were younger, let's say 15 years younger,
Yeah.
look astonishingly like Lady Di when she's sad? Have a look.
I think she looks awfully like me. But that's merely the luck of the generational thing. I don't know anything about her, I'm afraid. Absolutely nothing.
And you don't want to get involved?
It's my life
chances, you know, I mean,
my life is difficult and interesting enough
without
having to be concerned about that
I
poor young lady.
Okay. Let me ask you another question about who do you resemble? Do you resemble your father?
Physically, yeah. Well, yeah. I think I'm pretty much. Oh, I guess amalgam between my mother and my father, and like both, I suppose. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought about it really.
What sort of a man was he? The typical polite English gentleman?
Yes, I think he probably was. He was a very decent man. I think if I inherited anything from him at all, and it's that he made it very clear that my choices were mine as of a certain age, and that whatever gave me, he never pressed me into thinking of financial stability as being something to particularly strive for. But for me, it was much more a case of what is it that you really feel will make each and every day something to look back on and say, that was really good.
Was he that kind of man for himself as well?
Yes, he was, yeah.
Was he a successful man?
Yes, he was a successful man. Financially, no, not at all. But as a person, he worked for a charity in England called Dr. Bernardo's Homes. And that's something that gave him terrific satisfaction.
Would you call him an outsider in his days? No?
Not
He belonged to a group?
Belong to a group? No, I don't think any of my family ever belonged to groups. We're not group people. Tend to be quite sort of very self-sufficient people. Give us a book and a paintbrush and we don't really need anything.
What about your own fatherhood, if I may ask?
I have absolutely no idea. You'd have to ask my son. I believe that we had always a very strong relationship. I don't know. There's no rule book to go by. I mean, he turned out to be a really charming, bright, lovely young man. I mean, he's a good kid. He's no longer a kid. He's 24 years old. Still studying.
If they're 7, he's still studying?
Yeah.
What is he studying?
He's taking his doctorate in philosophy at the moment.
Yes!
Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to do? Yes? Why would you want to study philosophy? I asked my son the same question. I have absolutely...
Because it gives you the possibility to look at one thing in different ways.
Yes, no, I agree. I understand. I agree with you.
But now you must then.
But no, she's quite right. I think that's why one is drawn to understanding how other people think and where they come from or where they're going, where they've been through their lives. Is that when you're stuck with a set of absolutes when you're a kid, I think you know, you go to this kind of church, you do that kind of thing, and you think this way. If you have any sense of imagination, I think that you fall out fairly quickly with absolutes, and you want to see as wide a divide, as many avenues as are possible in life. And I think, for me, for my part, I got to a place where I saw that I could pick bits and pieces of each of those avenues. It's not essential to take one avenue as the gospel, that no one man is right about anything, or even one group of people are not right about everything. And I would pick and choose little bits of everything, a little bit of Buddhism, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that, to kind of give me some basis, some kind of explanatory platform for my life, you know, and that in itself is an enjoyment.
So you must be incredibly proud and glad with your son picking philosophy to study.
Well, I'm so pleased that he's going with something that interests him. I mean, I would, I'd feel sad if he went for something because he thought it looked like a good career, you know, in terms of, well, I can get to the top and do this. And,
listen, sons usually kiss the ground under their father's feet when they're 7, but by the time they're twice as old as that, they are deeply ashamed for everything their father is and stands for. Now,
that happens at about 17.
17? I mean, you were the ultimate extroverganza on the surface of this planet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he probably had a bit of a problem with that.
Has he never told you, David, please
I'll tell you something.
shut up for a year or so?
I'll tell you something he did do that was very funny. It was a number of years ago, and a band that he really liked, he was about, I guess he was about 11 at the time, about, maybe 12. A band that he liked called Pill, Johnny Rotten's band, Public Image Limited, were playing near us, and he said, you know, can we go and see them? And I said, yeah, of course, you know, we're going. He said, well, I'll go and get ready. So he went upstairs, and he came back downstairs, and he put that quick washout red dye in his hair, and he stood it up. And I stood, I said, if you think that I'm going out with...
What happened? You did go, didn't you?
Of course, yeah.
I wonder what is...
So it presents some amusing, you know, kind of situations.
Is it true you're planning on having a new family again and moving to London?
Well, if it's God's will, yes. I mean, that would be tremendous. I think we both love that very much.
And then you go and live in London?
Possibly. I mean, we're sort of looking at our options at the moment.
Living in
the
Britain?
last few years have been, and probably will continue to be, pretty much travelogues for both of us, and especially for me, because I do intend doing a lot more live work. I am enjoying performance again, more than I've enjoyed it for years and years. And I'd just like to make the most of it while I still can, before I bring out my Zimmer. But I guess probably I'd be pretty hard to stop even then, really.
Is it?
I'd be the most incorrigible bore. I'll still be doing space songs when I'm 90.
We'll give you a hint. We'll give you a hint.
I'm sure you will.
Listen, is it true you made an Arthurian tour with your wife?
Yes, indeed. Where do you find all this stuff?
Is that true?
Well, yes, the particular things that you've pulled out so far, pretty on the money. When I first met her, I mean, she'd only been to London by that time. By the time I met her, in fact, she'd already retired as a model, and she retired in 1989. She stopped modeling. But the only time that she'd been into London to see anything of England was on modeling assignments. So she came in for maybe 48 or 72 hours at a time. And she really had absolutely no idea what England or London or any of it was about. And I thought, and I picked, I was so judicious. I picked the first 2 weeks of, the last 2 weeks of May, and the weather was just extraordinary. It's never like that in England. I mean, it was just quite beautiful. And we took a trip to the southwest of England and went through Cornwall and Devon and all that, and Glastonbury, and all to the apocryphal sites of where Arthur lived his life and lived his times. And she was absolutely thrilled and said, is this weather and this beautiful, is it like this all the time? I said, yes! Just have no idea how beautiful England is. This is the England nobody talks about. And it was just fantastic. So she has a completely full sense of what it's like to live in
And
England.
you try to keep it that way.
Yes.
But listen, this is almost like sailing up the Avon.
Yes,
I mean,
yes. Well, I'm a romantic.
I mean, why do you want to go live in Britain again?
Well, at some point in my life, I would like to get back to Britain. I think I miss the gossip. Not my line, I wish it was. There was a play written by Alan Bennett called An Englishman Abroad, and it dealt ostensibly with the spy, Kim Philby. The actress Karel Brown went to see him in his rooms in Moscow.
I miss the gossip.
And she asks him, Kim, what's the one thing that you miss about Britain more than anything else? And he said, oh, the gossip. I quite feel like that. What I mean by that is that I quite miss a particular way of looking at the world that a lot of my friends... I've kept in touch, and in fact my circle of friends in England has grown considerably over the last few years. And one sort of misses their company, you know.
Could it be so that you're not the complete outsider that you once was, and you just want to go home?
I think I stopped being an outsider quite some time ago. It's that I've just got to convince the rest of the world that I've stopped being the outsider that they thought I was.
You've done a great attempt at this table. Thank you very much for coming to our little studio.
My pleasure.
And now we're going to take this table, clear the floor, make some room for your band to play, for you to move and to sing.
Good.
Dames en heren, David Bowie en band.
Till my eyes burn, I shake at the mother's brutal burden. I shake and stare at the watery moon with the same desires as the sober Philistine. I shake. I say, for the reeking flesh is as romantic as hell. The need to have seen it all. The war of utter destruction as beauty. I say. Needlepoint lifelines, the will to be vexed. Call it a day, call it a day. Researchers pierce all extremes of my sex. Call it a day, call it a day. Needlepoint lifelines, the will to be vexed. Call it a day, call it a day. 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 Today, 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 Spaceboy. You're sleeping now, your silhouette so stationary. You're released but your custody calls, and I wanna be free. Don't you wanna be free? Do you like girls or boys? It's confusing these days, but moon dust will cover you, cover you. This chaos is killing me. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, love. This chaos is killing me. Well, hello, Spaceboy. You're sleeping now. Your silhouette so stationary. You're released, but your custody calls, and I wanna be free. Don't you wanna be free? Do you like girls or boys? Yeah, it's confusing these days, but moon dust will cover you, cover you. This chaos is killing me. Bye-bye, love. Yeah, bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, love. This chaos is killing me. This chaos is killing me. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, love. Good time, love. Sweet, sweet time. Bye-bye, Spaceboy. Bye-bye, love. Moon dust will cover you.
to follow me over here.
Turned away from it all like a blind man. Stand on the fence, but it don't work. Keep coming up with love, but it's so slashed and torn. Under pressure, pressure.
Dit was het. Bedankt voor het kijken. Graag tot volgende week zaterdag. Dan zijn we er weer hier in de Kuip aan het Rembrandtplein in Amsterdam. Graag gedaan. Goedenavond.
Now a new fragrance from L'Oreal.